Hey guys, it's Adam aka Swimming Bird, and welcome to a new Minecraft 1.10 Snapshot update, which is actually a pre-release update. Surprise! I was just as confused as you might be right now. After only a handful of snapshots, the developers are getting ready to release 1.10 as one of the quickest updates to date, before apparently moving right ahead into 1.11 development. Now, this has been met with a lot of shock and confusion from the players out there, understandably so. It's only been about 15 days since the first 1.10 snapshot, and a lot of players feel like there's not enough features in this to merit a full update. Now, developer Serge did comment. He said, "If you're complaining about 1.10 being too soon or too small, I recommend playing 1.9 until we release 1.14 to get the desired experience." Meaning, the developers are focusing on getting these updates out quite a bit faster, so there's not going to be quite as many new features in there, but the idea is that there will probably be about 5 new, smaller updates in the time that it took to develop the giant 1.9 update that took way too long to come out. So that is their focus now, and they did say the timing for the release, the full version of 1.10, is going to be based off of feedback and reported bugs. So if they get enough feedback that people want to be able to ride polar bears into battle or different things like that, then maybe they'll take a little longer on 1.10. But for now, they're going to try to get it out with the features that are included so far, and including the ones that are in this pre-release update. So let's get into those. Now, polar bears, the adults at least, have a new feature that is more like a bug fix for some of the other mobs. If they're on fire and they're close to a body of water, they will run as quick as they can or get stuck right next to it. They should be running right into the water, there we go, to put themselves out. And this is a feature that quite a few other mobs will do as well, including little chickens and cows. Now, some mobs do not have the brains to jump in the water, and despite building their own villages and planting crops and trading with players, villagers will not jump in the water by themselves. They need your help to put that fire out, so hopefully they'll fix that as well. They also fixed some of the bugs with polar bears where they would get stuck in blocks when trying to chase and kill a player. So that's good, at least for the polar bears, not for us. Now, 12 new sound events were added into the game, and in the other snapshot, we did get new sound events for polar bears and stuff like that, and using the enchantment table. Those do not have sounds yet, unfortunately, and hopefully we'll get these before 1.10 is out. But we now have 4 new sound events for the Husk zombies, the Stray skeletons, and the Wither skeletons, meaning even though these guys are variants, they're going to have their own custom sound effects. Maybe it'll just be kind of a deeper or different pitched version of the normal ones, but it's nice that they're getting a little more uniqueness to themselves to set them apart from their relatives. Now, villages have quite a few changes, and we're going to hop around to some of these to show you guys. I'm going to some of the same ones from the other episodes, just with a refreshed seed, so you guys can kind of see the differences. Now, cobblestone wells here, they have cobblestone on the base as well as a nice little foundation instead of gravel. And if you find some stairs, there should be some around here, grass will now spawn under staircases rather than a dirt path, which is kind of a small difference, but it's nice. I think it will probably blend with most of the environments a little better. Now, paths, they have changed quite a bit to have these path blocks spawn in. They only replace grass blocks with air above, or water, lava, sand, sandstone, and red sandstone. So all other blocks are going to be ignored. Basically, it's trying to make sure that these paths can still spawn under trees and things like that, and they won't spawn over ravines and kind of mess up some of the terrain generation. They're supposed to look a little bit better integrated into the village. Now, unfortunately, they'll still not spawn in when there's like a little bit of grass over top or a flower. So we get these weird little patterns on some of these paths, and it's all over the place here where it doesn't look too great. So I think they're gonna have to do something to get rid of some of these little bits of vegetation to make the paths look a little bit better, or maybe at least let those spawn on a path block or something, because otherwise it looks a little strange. But it is nice that they did make some of those changes. And if we go to the other types of villages here, the Taiga Village and the Savannah Village are a bit different as well. They went in and they changed the fence on these villages, so they now have the corresponding wood type for their fence, and they look much better now, so it blends in. They don't just have the normal oak fence. So there we go. And now that we've got the normal textured lava, I can see the blacksmith design is basically the same. In the last update, I did mention that it looked like the blacksmith was a new design, but I think they just kind of stuck with the old one, even in the savannah. It had wood on accident before, and that first snapshot burned everything down, of course. So they went back with the old design. I thought it had changed a little bit, but I think it was just my eyes messing with me with that weird blood lava, which a lot of players liked, surprisingly. Got a lot of feedback from you guys about the blood lava looking pretty cool, and maybe they should keep it in the nether or stuff like that. So they probably should do something with it in the future. Enough players seem to like the weirdly glitched rendered lava. And here's another little village here with some of these water bridges going into paths. Now, some of this stuff is still a little strange with the villages, obviously. It's not all completely ironed out. You get paths to nowhere and stuff like that, but they're still working on making these things a bit better. Now, the zombie villages, I mentioned that in the last snapshot video as well. There's a 2% chance to spawn in these zombie villages, and the zombies would despawn from them, but now they will stay there. They have the tag that makes them persist, so they won't just despawn randomly when you find those super rare zombie villages, so they're a lot cooler now. And these coal blocks, not natural. I wanted to show you guys when particles fall from underneath sand and some of these other naturally generating blocks, they will stop now when they hit a solid block, so it won't just kind of travel through stuff. And particles are a bit different now. Just the area effect cloud particles, they have the same little perimeters that you can do with the normal particle command, so you can do some cool stuff. It's here at the end, the parameters or whatever. Oh wait, that's the wrong command. I'm looking at that, getting ahead of myself. Here we go. Particle parameters you can set. So basically, just like the particle command, you can add the for like block dust and different cracked dust and stuff like that. You can specify what block you want, and it's a little easier to show you guys. You can do cool stuff, like this is probably the closest. We're going to get to cherry blossoms in 1.10, sadly, but a lot of people said they want those as well, so we'll have to see if those get added, maybe in 1.11, but you can specify that's actually pink dye that's breaking off there to make it look like it's raining down, little petals and stuff like that. So that's a nice new addition to the area effect clouds. Now, magma blocks, the pathfinding's still a little weird with these, where if they're on the ground, mobs will just kind of go on them. Now, the villagers, they seem to love to take fire damage because he went right on top of that. But if there is a magma block raised up, they will do their best to avoid jumping on top of it and try to go around if they can and keep themselves from taking that damage. But for the most part, the magma block's still kind of a danger to mobs if they're going to walk on it. They don't really know enough to get off and stop taking that damage. But it's okay. They'll they'll learn maybe in a future update. Now, the mobs will no longer spawn on these magma blocks as well, except for magma cubes, zombie pigmen, and squid for some reason. So if there's some underwater magma blocks, you might see squid spawning on them. Witches, speaking of fire resistance, witches will now drink a fire resistance potion if they don't already have the effect on themselves, and if their most recent damage within the past 2 seconds was fire damage. So basically, this is to make sure they get some fire resistance if they're standing on these magma blocks to help themselves out, and they were previously not doing that. That was a bug. Now, as you saw a second ago, the villagers now run away from the husks. Previously, the husk zombies would not register as a threat for the villagers, but now they will run away from them, and the husks won't turn them into husk zombie villagers or anything. We'll have to hopefully get that in the future. And one thing I did want to mention about the husks, the first snapshot they popped up in, I mentioned that this could be a hat on their head, and it pretty much is. You know, that's not really too debatable. I just kind of thought maybe it could be their hair, but obviously if that's their hair, then they've got a serious back and chest hair problem because it's all over there. Yeah, it's definitely a hat. It just doesn't really pop out enough to register as a hat as much to me other than the color. I kind of, I think of a hat, I think of like a popped off little bit of pixels or a helmet or something. But anyways, I'm still kind of hoping they'll change the husk texture a little bit or design, but for now, that's what they look like and that's what they're gonna be. I got so many comments about, from a lot of you guys saying, hey, that's a hat, that's not hair. I did understand that, and I did mention that in the video, but I think it went over, some people were, fixating on the fact that I said that it was their hair as well. But I understand, guys. I get it. Don't worry. So the Husks themselves, they have some new abilities that we'll get into in a second as well. But I wanted to start with skeletons because they have a really cool power. And this was the command that I wanted to show you guys before. If you get a skeleton spawned in with a tipped arrow in their offhand, they will now use that tipped arrow when they attack. And if this guy shoots me with that arrow, here he goes, I will now have the tipped arrow effect. So I got this little bit of jump boost here. So for now, this is probably just going to be something that is important for custom map makers. But in the future, if they make the skeletons pick up tipped arrows or spawn with them in their offhand, then we'll probably see more of the different effects popping out. And I'll show you guys this command again if you didn't catch it before. You just have to put it in their offhand, basically. Now, skeletons, this will also replace the arrows. If the stray skeleton has one, it won't be slowness arrows that they fire. They'll fire whatever's in their offhand, and it's not consumed. The skeletons, just in general, when they're on fire and burning, they have a 50% chance of shooting a flaming arrow now, as long as the raw regional difficulty is 3 or greater. So if you're on hard, basically, then you're going to have to worry about these guys shooting you with fire arrows half the time if they're on fire. So that was a feature that people were giving a little bit of feedback to the developers about, because I know not everyone wanted that in. So I think they compromised by making it a random chance, 50% chance on hard. Now, zombies have a similar addition now. Their chance is to set people on fire, and basically, as long as the difficulty is a certain level, it's still a 30% base chance on easy, 60% on normal, and 90% on hard. And the duration also is affected by difficulty a little bit more as well. And same with the Husks. That hunger effect they put on you is now 7 times the difficulty effect. So it's like 7 seconds on easy, 14 on normal, 21 on hard. Basically, if you're going to mess with the difficulty, be prepared, because you might get lit on fire more easily or hit with hunger, stuff like that. Now, a few of these spawn eggs that they added in 1.10 for donkeys, mules, skeleton horses, zombie horses, they all have the right name now, so they're not all buggy looking with the name. Teleporting, this was something that changed in the last snapshot. Teleporting mobs around, they wanted to make it where it would always do it relative of whoever ran the command, but they compromised now. We have a new teleport command instead of TP. So basically, this guy here, Ice Bear, I just saw him a second ago. When I run this, he's going to teleport 3 blocks above me. So the teleport command teleports relative to where you are, whereas the TP command will still teleport in a mob or teleport different things based off of the coordinates that you put in there, irregardless of the player who triggers it. So in order to not break old maps, they compromised and made this new command using that effect rather than rely on execute and stuff like that. Structure blocks, they now are able to use the little colons and slashes when you type in there, so that's pretty much essential. I'm glad that they fixed that. And structure void blocks, they're not unbreakable anymore, and they have a reduced blast resistance. And for the rest of this, I do want to talk about a little bit about some of the other updates and stuff in Pocket Edition, but the bug fixes we got, you weren't able to place anything on nether wart blocks, and they weren't able to be set on fire, the new nether wart storage device that doesn't allow nether wart to turn back. But they fixed a lot of that stuff, and also the oxygen value for mobs was too low, so they were drowning too easily. And before we finish up, I did want to mention a few things. In Pocket Edition, 0.15 is coming out pretty soon, which is going to have craftable leather horse armor, a few things that might get into the PC version as well later on. And then the potion cauldrons are going to be used to make tipped arrows rather than crafting them normally. And then on top of that, you can dye the leather horse armor, which is pretty cool. And the theory is that the development is kind of split right now between a lot of different minds on the developers are splitting their efforts, but eventually the PC Java version is going to fuse with Pocket Edition, Windows 10 Edition, and we're going to have one big version of Minecraft, and maybe the console ones will catch up as well. And what is interesting is that they just put out this little graph here, and over 100 million copies of Minecraft have sold, which is insane. But it's kind of interesting to look at the statistics. Like in North America alone, only 19% of Minecraft players have the PC and Java version, 40% on consoles, and 41% on PC and Windows 10 Edition, which is crazy. I didn't realize. I kind of assumed that most players were PC players, but it makes sense. You know, everybody pretty much has a phone, and you might have a game console rather than a PC that can really run Minecraft well. So I wanted to put this out there. Do you guys want to see, you know, not just PC Edition updates, but if you want to see Pocket Edition and console, I'd be willing to get into that as well, because I know a lot of you guys probably don't play the PC Edition, but because a lot of the features converge, I'm sure a lot of you are still interested in these features because they might show up in different versions as well. But let me know. I've kind of jumped into console a little bit recently. I've been playing the Wii U version to play the Mario pack that came out, stuff like that. But I've never tried Pocket Edition. I might eventually, you know, jump over to Windows 10 Edition because that does have some big advantages. Even if the features are a little behind, you can have crazy render distance, and it's supposed to run a lot better and everything. So let me know in the comments, please. I apologize about going on about the Husk thing. I just wanted to let you guys know because a lot of you commented. They did realize that it is a weird hat and not their hair. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Please leave a like if you enjoyed this. 1.10 development is gearing down. It's as weird to say. I thought it was just getting started, but we should have more new features for 1.11 now announced eventually, and we'll have 1.10 soon. Please leave a like if you enjoyed this. Maybe subscribe if you haven't. I've got a Twitter if you're into that. It's at SwimmingBird941. And with that, I'll see you guys next time for more Minecraft updates. Goodbye.